So the big news coming out over the past 24 hours is the Batgirl movie is officially canned. Although it is basically 100%, nearly 100% complete. A few still has to go through like post-production visual effects added in and all that. As well as like, certain other things like little cleanup jobs here and there on screen. It's mostly just, like I said, nearly 100% complete with the post-production still needing to be finalized. And yet, even though the reaction to various test screens has been mixed, but mostly in the positive range, David Zaslav decides to can it. Now, yeah, there have been some reactions that weren't good, like I said, because, there were people that didn't like what it, how it came out. But again, there were some that were positive. So like I said, it was a mixed reaction of good, positive, somewhat leaning more towards positive. But to spend $90 million on this project, originally slated for HBO Max, and then, hey, it's decided we'll put it on, put it on the big screen. To spend $90 million on this, and then not want to release it, just can it, shelve it, put it in the vault, never to be seen again. I think that's stupid. That is probably the dumbest business decision you can come up with. The same with various other projects they're writing off, right? Various other projects that they're writing off, like SCOOB, the prequel to the SCOOB movie, SCOOB Holiday Haunt. And just like with Batgirl, that was mostly complete. And you got basically the behind the scenes crews on both movies, both projects, upset and saddened, shocked that, this has been announced. And you also have people coming out with hashtags, hashtag save Batgirl, hashtag save SCOOB Haunted Holiday, stuff like that. And now you put into question the future of, not just HBO Max itself, as a service, but you put basically in the minds of a lot of folks the possible future of Blue Beetle, of The Flash, and any other CW, HBO Max, content, DC content that's coming down the pipeline. And the reason for this happening apparently was because of tax write-offs. They wanted to do it, they did it as tax write-offs, basically saying, it cost us too much, so we're just going to not release it, write it off as a put it as a tax write-off. Again, it's just, to me, it just doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like all this is adding up correctly. Because what I'm sensing here is the truth being, in my opinion, is they're not doing this for tax write-offs. No. They're doing this because, of the recession that's upon us. So instead of basically following through and letting these movies potentially have a release in some capacity, they are shelving them indefinitely. Now, what that means indefinitely is there's still a good chance they'll come out. But for right now, until we're out of this recession and we're past tax season, which kind of gets an early start for a lot of people towards the fall of this year, going into next year, they're not going to, bring them back out. They're not going to let them see the light of day until we're out of the recession and tax season is done. And the reason I say that is because I still believe that if you have projects like this that are basically nearly fully complete, down completion by 15, 10%, 5%, but basically complete, then you should release them. If people were looking forward to this, and you have everybody that worked on it, from the cast and the crew and all that, upset, then you should basically make the smart move and release it. I get that David Zaslav wants to kind of restructure certain things in a way that makes the WB profitable again, makes DC profitable again. But just like a lot of people are saying about Triple H's run right now in WWE as head of creative, it takes time. It takes time. You cannot rush things just because, oh, you don't think it's going to make money. You don't know that. You don't know that until you let it happen. I mean, the one thing about WWE, even under the first week of Triple H's run, is there was still remnants of Vince's fingerprints all over Monday Night Raw last week, Friday Night SmackDown, and even SummerSlam. But a bit of Triple H but a bit of the Triple H regime sprinkled in. So, even though you had that, last night was the first Monday Night Raw under Triple H's regime, and you saw that. But still, there were some things, well, not last night, but Monday night, there was stuff, that was the first Raw under Triple H's watch. NXT 2.0 obviously had some influence given to Shawn Michaels, to Bruce Pritchard, from Triple H to help make it better. So you're starting to see slow changes here and there, but it's not going to happen overnight. And David Zaslav has to realize that sometimes you have to let what's already been planned and already put into motion become reality before you start over, before you hit the reset button, to go in the direction you want. Because here's what's going to happen tomorrow when they have this quarterly meeting or whatever it's called, this conference, whatever, this teleconference, video conference, whatever, this quarterly business meeting. Here's what's going to happen. David's going to get asked by a lot of people, why did you cancel Batgirl? Why did you cancel SCOOB? We put a lot of money into it. Why did you do that? And what's going to happen is he's going to have to probably come out and say, look, I didn't cancel them entirely. I'm just shelving them until after we're out of the recession and tax season's over. Then I'll bring them back. That's what he's going to probably have to do. He's probably going to have to say something along the lines of, I'm not shelving them completely. I'm just putting them on hold right now until we get out of this financial situation we're going to be currently going in, as well as after tax season is done, and then we'll bring them to the forefront. We'll bring them back out because then things financially should be okay. But yeah, if I'm David Zaslav though, instead of doing this, I just let it run its course. I let whatever left over from the old regime run its course, and then after it's run its course, then I start, focusing on resetting the structure of the company. Do what a Triple H is doing for WWE right now. Sprinkle in a little bit of your, influence in what's left of the old regime, and then once that old regime is completely done, then move forward. Move forward for, towards a new regime, a new direction, a new future you want for the company. And as far as HBO Max goes and its future, I think it's going to be okay. Because we heard about this before. We heard about the possible merger of HBO Max and Discovery Plus. And everybody has said that it would take years, years for it to happen. And here's the thing, if they make the announcement, we find out they make the announcement tomorrow that they're going to merge both companies. If they make that announcement, they're obviously going to make the announcement that it's going to happen probably within the next year. Like, in other words, they're basically going to say, okay, you got until to the end of 2023 to enjoy HBO Max as it is, because then come 2024, the merger happens, or you got till at least maybe fall 2023, and then that's when the merger happens. They can make that announcement because it's going to take a year or so, especially if the rumor is they're going to lay off 70 plus people. It's going to take time. It's going to take time for them to restructure that. And not only take time to restructure it, but they're going to have to figure out, okay, how do we categorize all this into one big streaming service? Like which category goes into it, you know? Like when the Peacock network came into being, it's got all the sections lined up, right? They have all the sections lined up, including one for WWE Network. So, you know, obviously that's probably what they got to work on. You think Peacock just happened overnight? No, that's probably some NBC, Universal, and Comcast had planned for years. You know, well, ever since, you know, Disney Plus came into being, but still, something they probably were thinking and considering around the same time Disney was considering Disney Plus. But the point is, it's going to take time, at least a year. So I look at the fact that if they make the announcement that HBO Max and Discovery Plus are going to merge into one, which will probably be called HBO Discovery, or HBO Max Discovery, just like Warner Brothers is known as Warner Brothers Discovery now, you know, or HBO Discovery Plus, then I'm going to tell you right now, the announcement's going to come with a scheduled merger date, official merge date into one service of either the fall of 2023 or the beginning of 2024, because it's going to take time to hire certain people, you know, for certain positions, as well as to categorize all the properties and licenses they have. And that's about it. That's about it for them, you know, if they want to get that off the ground. But for right now, I don't think anybody really has anything to worry about HBO Max folding or anything, because profitably, it's a success for Warner Bros. Discovery. David Zaslav would be out of his mind. And I know people are running with the report of, oh, it's going to happen and all that. Look, I say it with all due respect to some of the people I'm subscribed to, you're just clickbaiting people. Stop clickbaiting people. Tell them the truth. Say, this is what I'm hearing as a rumor, you know, to take it with a grain of salt, like, you know, 3C Film said in their video about it. Take it with a grain of salt. Just tell people that. Say, hey, take it with a grain of salt, but this is what I heard. You know, and again, you can't blame them for coming up with this kind of a rumor, because when these kind of things start happening, yeah, you start getting worried, as well as you start wondering, okay, who could be next? What is next, you know, on the table, as far as, you know, the future of, you know, our streaming service, the future of certain properties in DC. You know, what's next, you know, for the foreseeable future. We don't know. But I think what they're doing, basically, when it comes to the likes of Batgirl and SCOOB Holiday Haunt, is I don't think, honestly, they're entirely canceled like people are feeling they are. I think what it is they are shelving them indefinitely for the time being until we get out of this recession and tax season is over. And then once all that's said and done, which will probably take another 6-7 months, that's when I think we'll hear some good news of Batgirl being brought back to the fold, as well as SCOOB Holiday Haunt being released. That's what I think is going to happen. You know, and I get people worry, you know, it's a natural thing to worry, oh, you know, something bad's going to happen, oh, dwell on the negative. Don't dwell, listen to me. Listen to me and take my advice. Don't dwell on the negative. Don't listen to what people are saying about HBO Max is going to go down the tube, you know, and all that. Look at it this way. It's either going to stay afloat as it is, or you're going to hear a merger of it and Discovery Plus into one. Because when you ask yourself, if you're David Zaslav and his crew, you know, at this conference tomorrow, and you're talking to all your investors and everything, what do you think they're going to say is the more name recognizable value, or the more valued recognized name? HBO Max. And then that's when the decision, I think, will be made to keep that as its own service or to merge Discovery Plus with it. So you're going to either hear one or two things. Either they're going to remain its own service, and maybe they might, you know, merge Boomerang into their catalog, because I think if they're going to sacrifice anything, it'll be the Boomerang service. Or that you're going to hear a merger of Discovery Plus and HBO Max into one, which I think would be the more likely announcement. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the next 24 hours or so. But we need to stop dwelling on the negative here and take what people are saying, you know, with this rumor of HBO Max could be in danger because of layoffs and everything, with a grain of salt, because sometimes they just do that because they're looking for clickbait. They are not looking for clickbait, but they're clickbaiting you for attention. So we need to stop looking at looking at those titles and being like, really, Comic Book Cast 2, you're gonna go down that path? Or really, Sean's View Entertainment, you're gonna go down that path? Or Wrestling News Hub, or Wrestling News Show Now, you guys are gonna go down that path because you want to clickbait people for attention, for views? You need to stop looking at those kind of things and believing them. Take what they say with a grain of salt and just go and move on and wait until a legit official source comes out with the information that this is indeed happening or that's indeed happening. And that's all I'm going to say. But to me, I look at the positive things here, and the positive I look at is I think Batgirl's going to come back. I think SCOOB Holiday Haunt's going to come back. But for right now, they're being shelved because we're going into a recession, and David Zaslav doesn't want to spend money that he can't afford to spend during a recession. So he's writing them off as a tax write-off right now to kind of save money, and then after this recession is done, after the tax season is done, that's when I believe in the next 7 months, 8 months, we will hear good news about Batgirl and SCOOB Holiday Haunt. That's just my opinion, because again, it just doesn't make sense why you would just throw away $90 million, $40 million, total of $150 million. Why you would just throw it away and write it off and basically make it as a tax write-off, and basically make all this hard work people put into these projects be for naught. So I think Batgirl's going to be fine. I think SCOOB Holiday Haunt's going to be fine. It's just going to take a lot longer for them to reach our eyeballs, if you will, than originally planned. And that's just my opinion. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. How do you feel about this? Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere. Super chats and super stickers are open during the premiere in the live chat, as well as super thanks afterwards will be enabled after the premiere. Let me know what your thoughts are all on this. Again, I think honestly, I don't just think, but I also believe honestly, things are going to be okay. I think and believe honestly, Batgirl and SCOOB will be back. It's just right now, because we're going into this recession, and tax season also starts up early in the fall, that's why this is happening. And then after this is all said and done, that's when these projects, as well as other projects that are kind of in this similar situation, will be brought back to the forefront, in my opinion. But again, yeah, let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Check me out at BW Rosa's Discussions, all your favorite audio podcast locations, except for Pandora. Also check me out at VENMO for content you can't get here on YouTube due to copyright reasons. Also check me out at VENMO. Support me at VENMO at Brian-Warmer-2 and at Cash App at BWRoses98. Also check me out at Patreon.com/BWRoses. Support me there with a $1 or $3 tier. But until next time, guys, let me know what your thoughts are overall on all this. And until then, I will talk to y'all later.